Whether it's the holiday season or just a random Wednesday, there's nothing better than decorating wonderful sugar cookies. And one of the great things about that is the royal icing that goes on top, that once you have them decorated, gets all firm and glossy, and then you can bite into it. And so I thought we would show you how to make some royal icing today. This recipe is great because it uses just corn syrup, powdered sugar, a little bit of milk, and then whatever flavoring you like. I'm gonna use a little almond extract today because I know it's a favorite of one of my favorite people that I like to share cookies with. But we also could use vanilla if you wanted to use vanilla extract to flavor it too, or a combination of the both. Or lemon if you wanted to make a lemon royal icing. Well, I've got all my ingredients laid out ready to go. I've got 1 cup of powdered sugar. I have my almond extract, 1 tablespoon of corn syrup, and then 2 teaspoons of milk. And the 2 teaspoons of milk are gonna be our liquid that are gonna help this come together. Because we are using milk, I do recommend that you refrigerate after the cookies set up so that you keep them nice and chilled and definitely not too warm. You can also substitute the milk with almond milk or soy milk or whatever kind of milk that you want, or even like water if you wanted to add just a little bit of hot water to this too. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add all of my liquids into the bottom of the bowl, and then I'm gonna add my powdered sugar on top and have all of that come together. So I've got my flavoring and the corn syrup in there, and the corn syrup is what gives it that glossiness when it hardens up, which is really, really nice. And then I'm gonna add in about half of my milk to start with, because I wanna make sure that the texture of the royal icing is thick enough that it's not going to spread and flood all of the cookies. So royal icing kind of comes in 2 different grades. There's an edging icing that's much, much thicker, and then a flooding icing, and that's what you do to fill in when you're decorating cookies. And now, it's not a different icing, it's just that one has a little bit more liquid in it than the other one, so it spreads a little bit more. All right, I'm gonna grab my trusty wooden spoon here, and I'm just gonna start to mix in from the bottom my powdered sugar, which is gonna just start to melt into the liquids that are in the bottom of this bowl. And I've got a nice big bowl here that I'm mixing everything in. We are also gonna take and we're gonna divide this out so I can color it a bunch of different fun colors for decorating holiday cookies. And so I'm going to add in a little bit of food coloring gel to all of these different colors too, which means I definitely want it to be a firmer dough or a firmer icing, but not this firm. You can tell as I'm stirring it, it's still staying quite powdery. So I'm going to add in that full amount of milk, so all full 2 teaspoons. The other thing to make sure is that when you're measuring out your corn syrup, it sticks to whatever you put it in. And so I still have more corn syrup in here too that I'm going to use my spoon and kind of scoop all of that out also. And make sure you get all of that liquid in there. If you're doing this and your icing does not come together, that's okay. Don't panic, just add a little bit more milk or a little bit more water from your kitchen. I've got some icing forming in the bottom of the bowl, and I'm gonna start to mix in this extra powdered sugar here around the edges. And we are gonna take, and I'm just gonna start to kind of press it up against the loose powdered sugar that's in here, and that's gonna have it come together that way too. All right, that is a very, very firm icing, but it's still drippable. So this would be the texture that I would consider to be like an edging royal icing, that you can kind of take and scoop up the whole thing in one scoop, but it'll still drip off of your spoon. And so at this stage, this is where I would divide it out, and I would take and we would make it into the different colors. And we will do that, and so I'm gonna get that all divided here, and then we will show you how to color your icing. All right, you guys, we have all of our royal icing in separate containers ready to color. And at this point, the options are endless. You can make as many colors as you want and just keep dividing them out. I did wanna kind of show you just a little bit when you're using gel food coloring, especially with these bright colors. You may want to wear gloves because it will turn your fingers fun colors if you get the colors on there for a couple days, or be very, very careful. The other thing is that sometimes less is more, especially if you're going to develop a bunch of different colors. So let's say you wanted to make a Christmas tree and you wanted it to be both light and dark green. You're going to take and you're going to make your lightest colors always first. So I'm just going to add 1 to 2 drops inside of my container, and then I'm just going to grab a very thin wire whisk, and I'm going to take and I'm going to stir that up. And again, these are concentrated colors, so you can see that very, very quickly, I've got some really, really, really bright green going on here. And so if you wanted to make a darker green, at this stage you would take half of this out, and then you would put more color in to make your darker green color. And so I'm just gonna continue to do that with all of our colors. I'm gonna make a blue and I'm gonna make a red. And then I always like to keep one white so that you can kind of have a base color or an accent color for everything that you're doing. You can mix and match these colors too, taking the red and the blue and mixing that together to make purple if you wanted purple icing. And of course, with the white icing, if you've got your own food coloring, you can add whatever you'd like to it and make any color that you want. So, royal icing, super, super fun. And remember, the more liquid you add, the drippier that the icing is going to get, and it will get wetter. If you need to make it thicker, you can add a little bit of powdered sugar. And if you need to make it so that it spreads a little bit more, so it's easier to flood the center of your cookies, then you would add a little bit of water or milk to that icing that you make. Happy decorating this holiday season, and any holiday season that you would like to use the royal icing to decorate cookies for the holidays or just because. Thank you guys so much, and happy holidays.